This is the main menu for the Minecraft Education Edition. Of course, you can select different skins by pressing on the hanger here and choosing the skin that's that suits you. And then you can press on the hour of code. This is, of course, the shortcut way. Minecraft Education Edition have added a special button for the hour of code activities. So you're going to press on this button, which will take you to the lesson page. We're going to select the hour of code 2020 inclusion, which is this year's lesson, and then press on the create world. So from this part here is now, this is the intro of this lesson. As soon as we jump in, this is always going to be the starting point of a new lesson. For those who don't know how to play Minecraft, I'm going to explain some of the movement and interaction buttons and controls, basically. So in order to move forward in this world, of course, your character here, if you press on the F5, it's going to change your point of view. So this is your character. This is what's representing you inside this world, okay? This is a 3-dimensional world, and you have a character inside this world that's able to walk forward, backwards, left and right, and even jump. Okay, so if you go to the first person view is what it's called, or the front view, you can see the plus marker in the middle of the screen. This is basically your pointer. You can think of this like the mouse pointer on your desktop. If you want to open a file, you have to move the mouse pointer towards that folder or that file and then click on it to open it. So the mouse pointer is your interaction through your computer. And in this case, in the Minecraft world, the plus is your indication for that pointer. Of course, it's always better. It's better to play in this view, because if you go to the third-person view, the plus marker is gone. So it requires a bit of a understanding or knowledge of game-based application if you want to attempt and do the third-person view. But if you're new to the gaming world, it's always better to start this with the plus, having the plus marker in the middle of the screen. So once you do this, we currently have the yellow question mark. This is our go-to for this lesson in general. We want to always look for the yellow question mark. The yellow question mark is the indication you want to search for when trying to go to the next step, basically. So we have a yellow question mark here, and we have a floating book in front of us with the title, A Tale of Two Villages. So in order for me to interact with this book, first of all, you need to put the pointer at the book and then press the W button as shown here on the left side of the screen. This is hints for the controls. So I'm going to press the W to move forward. And as you can see, the book looks like the image got bigger. It didn't get bigger, actually. We just got closer. Now, if I change the point of view again, you can see I'm now standing, my character is standing in front of the book. So we have here, we're standing at a distance, and then this is me just coming close to the book, as you can see, standing next to it now. So once you're at a close enough distance from the object that you want to interact with, you're going to press on the left click button that's available on your mouse. So once we do that, a pop-up window is going to show with a dialog. So this is the dialog window. So in this dialog window, of course, it's very important to read. I know most people skip, but if you skip, you're not going to know what you're going to need to do. You're going to need to read in order to understand what is required from you. So this book is giving us the introduction that we read on the teacher's guide, which is basically the tale of two villages, the farmer and to the east and the fisher villagers to the west, and so on, as we have read. They ignored their changes. They can't turn for help. They need to learn to value their differences and find a way forward together. So once we have now an idea of the tale of two villages, we're going to press on the finish button. And as you can see, the book has disappeared. We now have a new character in the scene. Now, again, to interact with this character or any object, as we mentioned, you need to put your pointer or the plus mark on them, and then press W to get closer to them. The movement controls of the character in the game in general, you can think of it, of course, this is just a simplistic analogy. You can think of it like a car. So your mouse is the steering wheel and the W is the gas pedal. So wherever you're pointing is the direction your character is going to walk towards. As long as you're pressing W, it's going to keep walking towards that direction. So if I press and hold W and then move my mouse left and right, you can see I'm going where to the direction where I'm dragging the pointer to. Okay, as you can see, as long as you're holding the W button, your character is gonna keep moving, and and when you move the mouse left and right, your character is gonna move towards or change directions towards that area that you're pointing at. Okay, getting back to this, in order to interact again with an object or a character, you're going to need to get close to that character. So in order to move closer to this, put the pointer at that character and press W to move forward. And once you get close enough, if you have the instructions activated on the bottom right, you're going to find the interact option appeared. If I move backward, there's no interact option. But if I get close enough, I have the interact option. This indicates that I'm now close enough to interact with this object or with this character. Another indication is the title or the name. If you notice, there's no name hovering above this character, but once I get close enough, the name appears. That means I can now interact with this character. Now this character is called the caretaker. So if I press the right-click button, we're gonna start a dialogue conversation with this character. Again, we look for the yellow question mark. The yellow question mark is another meaning or a game terminology for it is a quest. So this is a quest. We're gonna collect our quests to do our required missions or activities. So any yellow question mark after the book is considered a quest. That means this caretaker now has a quest for us. So I want to accept this quest so I can start doing the first activity. So right-click, read the the written dialogue. In short, this is the caretaker. Basically, is the person that contacted us to come to this area to help the two villages work together. He's going to introduce us to a new character, which is called the agent. This is the robot that we mentioned earlier, who's going to help us to do these activities through the power of coding. Of course, in order to be able to work and communicate with the agent, I first have to choose the specified coding language that I'm going to use to communicate with him. So at this point, you're going to choose between blocks or Python. Now, if you're if you have a good background about programming or coding, you can attempt the Python. But if you're a beginner or have vague information about it, it is recommended to use the blocks. We're going to use the blocks because mostly everybody is going to understand how the blocks work. You can, of course, attempt both of them. Once you finish coding with the blocks, you can then start the lesson again and just try the Python for the sake of learning. So in this case, I'm going to choose blocks, or I'm going to choose Python because I want to show you how you can change the code as long as you're still at the beginning. So the part we are at currently is basically like a tutorial, okay? So this is like the tutorial part. As long as you're inside the castle and the gates are closed, you still have a chance to change or switch between the codes. So once I've chosen the Python coding here, you can now try and communicate with the agent. And here is your first mission or your first activity. Is I need to try to code the agent to move 4 spaces forward to the gold block. In order to start the coding, I need to press on the C button to get to the coding page. And for the users or participants using the iPads, on the top middle screen, you have, I believe, 3 buttons. One of the buttons look like an agent, which, if I'm not mistaken, is the first button to the right. If you press on this button, it's going to open the coding page for you. So If I press on the close here, you notice that the yellow color on the question mark has changed to green. This indicates that I have received this quest or this mission or activity, and now I am ready to apply it. So if you look at the screen as well, you have a message that says press C to code. This is basically, this message will always, it's like a hint telling you what you need to do next or what's currently happening. So always look for the orange message if you feel lost. Now, as we mentioned, you can see the gates are closed. We are still at the tutorial. So if I press C, I'm going to get this window. Okay, so I have an error here, which I cannot open the coding block. So what I'm going to do is quickly switch between the codes and just refreshed it. So in order to switch between codes during the tutorial session, you just need to open a dialog with the caretaker again. Again, pointing at him and pressing the right-click button, and then choose the other language. So I'm going to press on try Python, press C, and this is the Python coding section where I can code and program here. If you get an error message like I received just now, it's a good example or a good chance for that happening. You can quickly switch between them just to refresh, because this page is basically like an access page to a website platform. So a quick refresh always fixes the problem, as I'm sure everyone knows. So this is where you're going to need to code to start writing the Python commands. Now, if this is too complex for you and you don't feel like you're prepared for it, you're still at the tutorial section, press on the X mark, communicate with the character again, and then choose try blocks. Okay, now our coding has changed. If I press C again, and as soon as you press C, if the agent, this is the agent here, if the agent doesn't show up, as soon as you press C, he will always pop up on the start point. So if you press C, you're going to get the coding window that we mentioned. And in this coding window, you have three main sections. You have the gray area on top. This is basically your guide on what is required for this activity. In this case, let's make sure the helper, the agent, is ready. Move the agent onto the gold block. If you need a hint, click on the light bulb. And then we have the coding area where we are going to put in our code, and then press on the green start button to start the to run the program, basically. And then we have our toolbox, which contains all of our lines of code. So this is the green one is the on start command. This is always required to be available, or it has to be here. And all of the codes will go into this box right here, like this, for example. So at the moment, we have one line of code, which is basically agent move. And then I can choose the direction that the agent is going to move to, and then by the number of steps that he's going to take. Now, in the world of Minecraft, everything, as you can see, is basically squares. Even the sun and the edges or the clouds are all squared, okay? So everything is square in this world. So to count the steps inside Minecraft is to count the squares between your character and the object. So I need to move this agent to the gold block. That's the required objective. Okay, how many steps is that? So we have 1 square, 2, 3, 4. So we have 4 blocks to get to the golden block. So I'm going to press C. I'm going to put here the number 4, and then press on the green start button to run the program. As you can see, the agent moved until he reached the golden block. Now, once you achieve an activity correctly, or once you are completed with an activity, you're going to automatically get a pop-up of the dialogue of a dialogue window, basically, telling you that you have succeeded and have completed the required task. So in this case here, we have completed the task, and it seems that the agent wants to provide us with a gift. And we're going to open the window to code the agent to give us, or to accept the gift, and then we can plant it in the center of the courtyard here. So this is the center of the courtyard. It's what we call a grass block. So I'm going to press C. Before I do this, if you look on the right side of the screen, you can see like a square page thing. This is basically your character's hand. This is going to change momentarily. So once I put the accept gift and I press on the start button, I'm going to see a small sapling. This is basically a small tree. Now we're required to plant this sapling into the grass block. If I change the point of view, you'll notice that my character is holding it in his hand, as you can see. Now, in order to plant this, I'm going to put the pointer at the grass block in the middle, and then I'm going to press on the right-click button. Again, the dialog window opened up automatically, indicating that I have completed this mission correctly. Now, this is the last part of the tutorial. This is your only chance to switch between codes again. Once you do this, you cannot switch between the languages of the program of codes in the middle of the session or activities. You're going to have to exit the world and then create a new one and start from the beginning in order to change languages, or you need to complete all of the activities and finish all of the story at the end, and then you're going to get an option to reset. At that point, you can also change the code language. So from here, we don't want to change to Python, so we're going to press on the continue. Okay, so at this point, the caretaker is going to give us a device called the Ender Communicator. This will help us basically quickly teleport between different locations or areas. So we're going to press next. Now he's informing us that both gates are going to open, and we can basically start doing our activities. As you can see, the gates are now open. I have the communicator on my in hand, which is this red light device on the right side of the screen. And you can choose to start from either the illager side or the villager side. Okay. So how do you use the communicator? Basically, you can just in case look downwards, point on the floor, and then press on the right-click button. You will activate the communicator. You can quickly teleport between the villagers and the illagers town if you want to switch between them. Of course, for the moment, we're going to start with the villagers town.